Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name's Joe. I'm joined today for the Paddock podcast by Casey and by Adam Mckola. How are you doing, lads?
What's going on, Joe?
Looking good. Adam with his Germany shirt there, is it?
Yeah, it's a nice kit, isn't it?
It is nice. What year is that? They've just won the World Cup there, haven't they?
It was the last tournament, last World Cup.
Was it?
Nice. I got this in the Nigeria kit, which were my favourites from that tournament.
Yeah.
Very nice.
The retaining or the reigning champions always seem to do shit in World Cups, don't they? Like
I couldn't even tell you who won the last World Cup. France. Sorry, I can.
Germany got battered like 3 times in the group stage, didn't they?
Yeah,
I think South Korea and all sorts.
They've gone out in the first round, like last few World Cups.
Yeah,
like
Spain before that.
Italy.
Why don't Adidas make us nice kits like this? So
it is nice. Isn't it?
Imagine like a red and black version of this.
The black and orange one had a bit of pattern going on, like last season's one, didn't it?
That's true, yeah. And actually, the black one was all right.
They're pulling out all the stops. I like them.
Yeah.
Oh, you would though, Joe.
Why?
Because you're a bit mental, aren't you?
Not really. We're going to be, speaking of mental, we're going to be looking at United trying to sign Josh King in a minute. And Casey's been doing a bit of snooping. Casey's been going through the Watergate building and trying to find files on Josh King and Solskjaer and all sorts.
I've got loads of tabs open to refer to. So
there's a strange set of conspiracy theories going on. So basically, take us through the story of what's been going on, Casey, as far as you see it, or as from what you've read and seen.
Okay, so last January, we were trying to sign a striker, as you may or may not know, and that striker was Odion Gallo in the end, which we have, and he's now apparently leaving next week. But before that, we had the big Josh King reveal within like the last couple of days.
That's so good.
Surprise, it's Josh King. No, and apparently we gave them an offer. We said they had 15 minutes to accept it, or we were doing something else. So it was all that sort of thing. Now, Josh King's agent is a man called Jim Solbakken, who that's probably pronounced wrong.
That sounds right.
Apparently we're pronouncing Ole wrong this whole time, so I could be completely wrong with that. So anyway, he is an agent that is also Solskjaer's agent, and has been good friends with Solskjaer ever since he became his agent, I think back in the 90s. Now, there's been a lot of allegedly thrown around about the relationship stuff that they've done.
Nice.
But
when you say the relationship stuff they've done, do you mean like drinking buddies or like taking cars and like shooting at stuff in the desert together? Like what kind of stuff have they been doing?
Moving people about that shouldn't be moved about in order to avoid legal things.
And you did say allegedly before.
I said allegedly. That was all allegedly is the case. But I was looking into it. And this relationship, and people saying like, obviously he's trying to help his mate out. He's trying to get a striker removed to a big club. Is just now. I've been looking into it. We've had a relationship. United have had a relationship with Jim Solbakken for a lot longer than most people think they have. So he was John Obi Mikel's agent when we were meant to be signing him. Before he obviously
we did sign him, didn't we?
Well,
from Oslo, wasn't it? Norwegian team as well.
So there's that sort of thing, but then obviously he went to Chelsea. He was Mami Biram Douf's agent. Whoever remember Mami Biram Douf before he went to...
We signed him from Molde, didn't we?
Yeah. So
did we? And then he went to Stoke and scored in Big City one year, didn't he?
The Norwegian link. And
he scored twice in the game that Gerrard's last ever game for Liverpool. 6-1.
Also, there was when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was at Cardiff, he helped him sign 3 players that, to my knowledge and my research, I'll have a little look where I could find these because I had them a second ago. That will include Mats Moers Dali, Magnus Wolf Eikrem, and who was the last one? Joe Inge Berger.
We all remember all of them.
Magnus was all right at some point. He was pretty decent.
Magnus Wolf Eikrem and Mats Moers Dali were in United's academy when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the manager of it. Was the manager of the under.
Can I just say though, like, I remember these things coming out quite before, and obviously it was kind of used against Ole as a stick to beat him with, like this whole kind of relationship. Like, so many like if you look at Ed Woodward himself, the relationships he has with agents, his work with certain like some summers is strictly work with certain agents, like Raiola one summer. We've seen in the past other managers only working with certain agents. Jose Mourinho working with Jorge Mendes quite closely, and it won't be an exclusive relationship, but it will be one that they generally go back to. And I think football's a small world, and a lot of these people have these relationships which they'll then continue to use. And it's kind of like if you're a scout, Joe, or an agent, and you're my mate, and I'm at Manchester United. If I'm looking for a player, I'm probably going to come to you first to see what's going. Now that could be right or wrong, but I think that can happen. Now, didn't they say we were going to sign a secret striker, but Josh King was linked with us at that time? So how was it a secret striker?
Yeah, I agree with you, to be honest. The people do everything with their mates, don't they? It's not like that weird. Obviously, if there's dodgy stuff going on and there's rules that are being broken and stuff, that's one thing. But if it's just like Martin Scorsese always casts Leonardo DiCaprio and everything, and he casts Margot Robbie and everything. And I know football's not, it's different, but it's still about making money and having success and stuff. And also, if you think about the reputation loads of agents have, where they're lying and they try and trick people and they're just doing it for themselves and they're doing it for the money and all that. If you've got an agent that you're good mates with, you're sort of ruling out a lot of that kind of reliable, is he lying to me type feeling that you might have when you're doing deals with agents you don't know. So I think the ability to sort of remove some of that uncertainty is probably a good thing, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at it. I mean, some people were saying, looking at obviously the negative side and saying, Solskjaer was trying to give a handout to one of his mates by signing the striker who's an agent of, and then the agent would get money from that deal. Or you look at the other side of it, that we needed to sign a striker within 6 hours, and he was like, well, there's a striker that's Premier League proven, or at least plays in the Premier League, who I have the same agent as. The agent's not going to turn down my phone call, so I can ring him up and maybe broker a move quickly in order to solve this situation without having to have the problems of, there's going to be a little haggling when it's the last day of the transfer window. So
where it does become an issue, though, is where, for example, if we were to just go, right, let's get Josh King because of this, like, and you've got all summer to get alternate, like, Josh King may be a decent option for a short term in the last 6 months. But the reason why we're not signing Odion Ighalo on a permanent basis because he was a short-term fix. So why would we now go into a summer where, I know Bournemouth are in a position where they're losing quite a bit of money, aren't they? They're going to be one of the worst affected Premier League teams. So that may be another reason for it as well. But why would we go into a summer where there's going to be plenty of teams that are going to be affected by it? A couple of strikers may be available. Why would we hang our hat on a Josh King that he's done okay in the Premier League and he would have been a decent option in January for 6 months? But is he a decent option as a summer signing? Personally, I'd be pretty underwhelmed with that if that happened. And I would look at that as like, well, maybe you are just doing a favour for your mate. Do you know what I mean? I understand those relationships and how they can be beneficial in football. But if you've got a summer to prepare for a signing and you're going straight to Josh King and your mate, you're probably doing something wrong there.
He is quite injury prone as well, Josh King, and it's not like he's played 300 games and scored 100 goals. I think he's got a goal ratio of something like between 3 and 4, a goal in every 3 or 4 games, which isn't too bad for a lower half striker. Obviously, it's not it's not world class, but it's decent for a backup. That's just from what I'm remembering from the research we did in January looking at him. But for the idea of signing someone on like a multiple year contract for presumably decent money, Josh King doesn't really stand out and impress too much, does it? When you look at the potential people who are knocking about, it just seems like an easy person, like you said, because he knows his agent.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats, got the stats up for that. When he was at Blackburn in the Championship, he scored in 74 games, he scored 8 goals. Then he refused the contract. In 74 games, he scored 8 goals.
Bloody hell.
And then he refused the contract and went on a free to Bournemouth straight into the Prem. And in 163 games, he scored 48 goals with 2 of those. Yeah, that's
the one I saw.
With 2 double-figure seasons in there.
Yeah. So around a goal every 4 games in the Premier League, which, again, like I said, isn't great. But most strikers don't get many goals, really. The amount of strikers in the world that score a goal every other game is minimal. But he's not a particularly inspiring choice, is he? And he's not particularly exciting. And surely there are better people available than him. Do you think? Do you think? Go on.
I was going to say, if you look at the circumstances, I mean, if Bournemouth are going down, if restart, because Bournemouth are in that sort of mix at the moment, and they also need the money, and you're like, oh, well, you can get Josh King for about 15 million, maybe 20 at most, and he's going to be your backup striker, but he's maybe like the third or fourth option we go for, then I'd be like, all right, I can understand that. But the fact is that there are other options out there. There's younger options. There's people who are probably have a higher ceiling, maybe the potential-wise, or just more reliable than Josh King. Because as you said, he's injury-prone. So when you look at it, is it really the signing we should be going for? So
it's not particularly inspiring either, is it? It's just like, let's just go back to someone who we couldn't get in January and then just try and get them in again. Do you think he'd be a good signing, Adam?
Should be underwhelming. But Igalo was,
isn't it? Yeah. But
so
it kind of worked, like you said, because we knew it was going to be short term. But as like if he's signing like a 3-year deal with us, you sort of think, what's going on there?
Yeah,
I don't know. It could be all right. It could be.
I personally, if I wouldn't get him.
No.
No,
me neither. MS Smiley says, please look into more sources than just Josimar Bakken and Solskjaer have been in conflict since the 90s. All sorts going on. Little rivalries and Norwegian excitement getting stuck in there. Need someone who's different to our strikers. Yeah, do you think he's sort of a bit too similar to what we've already got? I think it was something about Igalo that he's a better hold-up player than I think the other players we've got, and he offered something different. Whereas Josh King seems just sort of, he's quite quick, he's decent on the ball, not really a hold-up man, not particularly good in the air. He's just a worse version of sort of Martial, Greenwood and Rashford, isn't he? I mean, pretty.
Yeah, it's not
simple, really.
I mean, I'd rather have Troy Deeney, to be honest.
Someone
I'll be
who's
honest with that.
gonna...
If we were going to get someone like that from the Premier League and get him sit on the bench, I'd go all out for Troy Deeney.
Do you think you get him?
Mate, you'd get him, honestly. You think Troy Deeney wouldn't want to come to United?
Yeah, but you need like one of them like Watford through and through type people where he sort of stays in one place.
Bruv, is that Watford, man? I know he's Watford captain. He'd come to Manchester United.
Yeah,
but I'm exaggerating the point to make a point.
Yeah.
I like Troy Deeney. He's a good lad, but I'd 100% have him ahead of Josh King all day long. But I wouldn't get Josh King. And even Moussa Dembele, there's talk about him. You'd rather him over Josh King, maybe. He's got probably a bit more of a higher ceiling as well. There's talk about a few other strikers that you'd probably rather see.
Yeah, it's just not exciting, is it?
No.
I remember we were talking about him in January. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I put a tweet on my Twitter yesterday, sort of plugging up. But I was saying that, was it Weghorst? Or probably again.
Weghorst, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I said he would probably be a decent option because obviously he's 27, about the kind of age you want of a prime striker, but he offers that different sort of play. He's tall, like 6'4", he's good on the ball, good at holding the ball up, but I think he has like 27 goals, 10 assists, 11 assists.
Is it Wolfsburg? Where's he at?
Wolfsburg, yeah.
I don't. He's one of those players that I sort of know more about what he's like than actually how good he is, and I've seen him and I've heard people talk about him, but I've never really seen much of him. I think, but it's so hard to predict what this transfer window is going to be like in it with everything that's going on, and it's the talk of like, oh, we're not going to spend more than 70 million on someone. I don't quite understand. When you look at the financial stuff, I know that the debt's gone up and stuff, but part of that is because of the liquid assets not being there because of what we spent on Maguire. But it doesn't seem like United have lost so much money that all of a sudden we can't afford to buy anyone. And that's do you want
to update on Odion Igalo?
Yeah, go on then. If there is one.
Solskjaer's just told MUTV, we're in dialogue with Shanghai. They've been great towards us, his club, and allowed him to play for his dream club. Hopefully he can finish off what he's started, hopefully with a trophy for us. At the moment, nothing has been agreed. We're just waiting to see. So a lot of hopefullys in there. He said hopefully 1, 2, twice.
And also that goes against, well, not against, but sort of an update to the Sky Sports article from a couple of hours ago saying that United hadn't made an offer or hadn't had.
But I think that they could be picking hairs in terms of there's been no offer made in terms of we want him on a permanent rather than we don't have to make an offer for them to extend the loan.
No,
we're kind of just saying, are you not going to abide by? Because FIFA and Premier League and all that have said that they can be extended, can't they? So it's just a case of Shanghai saying cool, but they've got a league campaign of their own to sort out.
I was going to say that in the news this morning. You can't blame Shanghai for wanting a player that they spend like 250 grand a week on to play for them instead of just like one of their best players as well to play for them instead of just playing for another club because it's it's like a nice gesture to the player. Like they've got a season to play there. It'd be disappointing, but you can't really be too annoyed at them for wanting one of their best players to play for them, can you?
I mean, they also now have a foreign player cap in the Chinese Super League, so he's taken up one of those and he's not even there. I mean, obviously, when you look at the difference of quality between what the teams have brought in, like you have, obviously, the Chinese teams all have like Paulinho, Hulk, Alex Teixeira, like those sort of players to be just taken away.
Is Oscar still out there? Is he in Russia?
Yeah. He's at IPG, I think, which is the other one. So yeah, I'd hope to see him finish his loan. I feel like it'd be nice to see him finish his loan.
I reckon they'd want us to pay his whole wages. And that would probably be a problem for United, especially with Rashford being back. Because the reason why he came here in the first place was because of the coronavirus pandemic over there. So the reason they wanted to get a little bit of his wages off the wage bill was because they weren't playing football anyway. Now that they're playing football, they're not going to be back. Imagine they're playing and they're going to be paying for their star man to be elsewhere. That's funny, though, isn't it? It sounds like United and Alexis Sanchez almost.
Yeah, except we know he's not necessarily the star man at United, but yeah, I can't imagine him. He was supposed to be.
He wears our fucking number 7.
Why do we keep getting it so wrong with the number 7?
Because they try and force it too much.
Yeah.
Once you take it one year, then give it back.
Give it to Rashford.
Yeah, give it to Rashford. But he's got number 10 though. That's still pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, he wouldn't want to change.
Nah. Give it to Sancho or something. And then just ruin his career as well. Exciting though. Do you think we will sign Josh King, Casey? From the research you've done, do you think there's actually any legs in this?
I don't. I feel like we're looking at different strikers. If you're looking at all of the things that people have said, like we don't want to spend too much money, especially if we're going to be like we're not spending more than 70 million on a player. I feel like that's just a statement we've made to Dortmund to be like, look, we're not paying you as much as you want. Drop your price a bit, sort of thing. So, but if you're looking to kind of pinch pennies and save some money somewhere, I feel like looking at someone a club who needs to sell someone, especially if they're going down, the parachute payment will probably subsidise the loss they've had of coronavirus, but then that doesn't know how much that affects into next season, especially with a club like Bournemouth, who aren't the most financially liquid. Offering them 15-20 million for Josh King to be a backup striker is probably not the stupidest idea in the world. I mean, I feel like if it's like this transfer window, it's like we've got Josh King, that's it. I'd be like, okay, then that's terrible. If you were like, we've got Sancho, we've got a defensive midfielder, we might get a centre back, and then we got Josh King to kind of round it off, I'd be like, that's fine.
It would be funny if we just signed Josh King this summer, wouldn't it? Everyone thought we were going to get Sancho, Grealish, and like maybe another one, and then we just got Josh King for 35 million.
Josh King. 35 mil. Oh my god. Rage on Twitter.
If we paid 35 mil for Josh King, fucking hell.
It'd be so funny. We'd just get destroyed and we'd finish.
That's the thing as well. They're going to want like 20 mil for him.
Well, they said they wanted 30 for him in January, didn't they? Well, that was the rumour that they wanted 30.
He wasn't even
about 7-8 mil.
That's how much we'd sell him. If Josh King was at United now and Bournemouth wanted to buy him off us, we would get 6.5 million for him.
We'd pay his wages while he played for them.
Yeah, 5 years.
Let him go for free originally because he was in our academy as well. We let him go for free to Blackburn.
Yeah,
we've already let him go once. It's basically like the Pogba situation on a smaller scale.
But he was shocking for Blackburn, to be fair.
Yeah,
so he's kind of improved.
He got released, right? He didn't leave. He got released, right?
Yeah, and we let him go on. Well, yeah, he let him go on a free sort of release sort of thing, and then he got released. Or he didn't really agree a new contract with Blackburn, so he's had 2 free transfers. Ended up at Bournemouth, and then he's going to be slapping 35 million on him. So
he doesn't even start for Bournemouth, does he?
I think he's been injured most of the season. Like, honestly,
he would start if he was fit, because they've had that useless Solanke up top, haven't they? He hasn't pulled up trees at all. So I think he would have started. Josh King is probably the one that starts with Wilson when they're both fit, but they haven't been able to. So he's not. He starts for Bournemouth, but he's never fit.
No,
Solanke's such a weird case, because if you look at his youth level stats, he was absolutely tearing it up. Like if you looked at his trajectory, he was probably more hype or more looking like he'd be better than someone like Rashford or something like that. And then he's just, as soon as he's gone to any sort of top level football, he's just not hit anything. Even in the under-21 competitions, when he goes to like the under-21 World Cup and stuff like that, still scores. It's just like, but as soon as you put him in professional, like a professional league, a top team, or like, not top team, sorry, first team, just does nothing.
Shame, really, isn't it? I mean, not for United, but like when you see all those players that were in the sort of, was it the under-17 World Cup a few years ago? Was he in that? Is he a year above than that? Solanke.
Oh, I don't know. I thought
or was that maybe he's the generation before then. But the England youth teams that have done really well recently, and so many of those players like just not quite getting there, not quite making it. Speaking of actually though, European tournaments, what about it's the 21st anniversary of the treble? And Casey, do you know what I want to hear from you? Do you have any memory of the treble? How old are you? 16?
I'm 22, so I would have been 1 year old. Probably not even. Oh yeah,
made me sick.
That's mad, isn't it? Because I don't think I'm much older than you, and I remember it, and I was obviously 6, but
that's me at the treble parade.
Nice.
Up the Jester Hat Reds.
It doesn't even look anything like that, you know.
Well, it is, Joe.
So what's your memory of it then, Casey? Nothing. Was it just there as a sort of a lingering shadow that was in the squad when you first had your memories?
Oh yeah,
he was there.
The fact is obviously like they had the treble, and then for a few years it was kind of like a bit of Arsenal, and then Chelsea came into it. So I was like, oh, so we had this great team back when I couldn't remember football. So that's always fun. And then obviously we hit the 2007, 2008, 2000, like the late 2000s.
Yeah.
Well, we were good again, and I was like, okay, this is the sort of team I was expecting when someone told me in the past they won the treble. So it's always been like that.
You was an 8-year-old like, this is more like what I was expecting, boys. Finally, a few bloody goals on the scoreboard. Do you know what I mean?
Get that Josh King on; he'll do something.
Yeah, he was there then, wasn't
he? Yeah. So I mean, it was always the sort of my memories of football started in that stopgap, and then I know the good team after that sort of thing. So
where did you watch it, Adam? You didn't go, did you?
No, not to that one. I went to the FA Cup final.
Did you?
Yeah, and then I watched it. My dad must have been out somewhere. I was at home with my mum. My mum lost her head, and then I remember waking up, going to school. We had our shirts on, and I had my United top under my shirt. And then because we had a few United fans in my class, so we all took our school shirts off, had United tops on. And then I remember just after first break, we went to my lesson, and my teacher called me out, and they were like, "Oh, you got to go to a dentist." I was thinking, what the fuck's going on here? I ain't got no dentist appointment today. And my dad was outside, and he was like, "Yo," he must have still been partying from the final right through. He was like, we're going right now to the parade, so you whipped me out of class with a dentist.
Well, the parade was the next day?
Yeah, it was on the 27th of May, 99.
Wow.
So he whipped me out of class, took me to the parade, and yeah, it was great times to be alive.
That sounds so good. So the parade must have been planned before we were even in the European Cup final then, because they would have had a parade even if it was just a League Cup double, wouldn't they?
Because we would have had a double, right? There was parades
It wasn't the fact that
yeah.
before showing him a Solskjaer, it wasn't like there were just a lot of people like, what we're going to do with all these decorations? We've got a bus hired over it.
Well, but I mean, it just seems very quick turnaround to have the parade the day after the Champions League final.
We were supposed to. We originally arranged to have the trophy parade on the 22nd of May 2008 in Manchester, and that got cancelled because the Rangers fans a week before at the UEFA Cup final kicked off in town. So then we were going to have one when we won the double in 08, but that got cancelled. So they do arrange them in advance. It's just that it's like Liverpool would have had their league title thing arranged in advance. They had one arranged for when Gerrard slipped. Did they? So you have to. The councils and things have to think.
Yeah, it's months in advance.
Because ultimately, as well, like they're the kind of advertisements of the city, aren't they? They want to capitalize on those things, so they have to be prepared for it. But yeah, the 08 one got ruined. The last parade we had was Fergie's last title.
Yeah.
So that 08 parade would have been sick.
Yeah, it's a shame that, isn't it? Is that why a lot of United fans are still annoyed at Rangers fans? Because of that?
Well, yeah.
And other
probably other reasons as well. And then in 09 we were supposed to have a parade, and then we lost.
Yeah, and 2011 probably. So you watched it at home on telly then? No pub, no nothing like that. How old were you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
10. I was 10
Casey wasn't born. Casey was being.
I was 10 on the 22nd of May 1999, which was the Wembley Cup final.
Oh, so it was your birthday this last week?
Yeah. So I went to that. I went to games in that season. I went to some legendary games in that season, but the final, no chance.
I was probably present in the room when it was on, but as I said, 1-year-old child. So
yeah, but yeah, you get a let off. I was only 6, so I get a let off as well. But Adam, you should have been there drinking, mate. Barcelona. You save up your pocket money.
At 10, you'd been end.
Yeah, get a flight. You could go on flights by yourself at 10 years old in them days.
We was getting dinner tickets and shit. I never had no time to go to Barcelona at a 10-year-old.
I tell you what I used to do. I used to look. I used to be the best person ever at finding change on the floor. Then when you walk in, I would always have my head down looking for change. And you can find so much money on the floor.
Do you remember running into phone boxes and just checking the thing?
Yeah. Or do you know when you go to the seaside and there's this 2-piece slide machines, you go around all the little slots underneath, like smacking into them, and then just like feeling in all the things going round.
I remember getting nabbed by some dude. I had my hand between his legs, like just taking his change.
Really?
Because there's those guys that just win, but they don't move their change to the end, innit?
Yeah.
Like they just leave it in there so everyone could see that I've won all this. Look at me, I'm the fucking man with all £2.40 worth for 2 pence.
Everyone's annoyed that the gyms are closed because they can't do the workout. Joe's just annoyed because he can't go through like the lockers looking for a spare quid.
I used to love it. Do you know on the the gumball machines and stuff? If you used to go to them, you used to turn every one. I reckon 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 would have a 10, not even that many, way less than that percentage, maybe 1 in 50. You'd turn it and someone would put the money in and not turned it properly, and you get a gumball or something out of it.
Oh, that's sweet. I remember that. Yeah. Also today, I nearly did the equivalent of that at the cash point. I do this all the time. So if you see me at the cash point, just stand behind me. You might get some free cash. I press the money. I take my card and walk off.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? There's money there. Like, what the fuck? Like, luckily today I turn it back around, but that's the equivalent of that. Like, people putting money in phone boxes and that. I used to love that shit. I used to love as well, like, I hope he's not watching now, but my mum used to send me like for some milk and bread before school or something, and you'd go. Yeah. The shop would have had their delivery, but they wouldn't be open yet. Yeah. So the bread and the milk would just be there, you get me? And you're like, got a quid here in my pocket. Here we go, happy days.
Do you want to leave the quid there or just take it?
No, I was on the rob, mate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It serves them right for just getting stuff delivered outside. You got to be there when the delivery arrives, don't you?
Well, especially when there's people like me around.
Yeah, exactly. Every day there's just 1 loaf of bread and 1 bottle of milk missing. Yeah. Definitely knew who it was. I was at home. I watched it at home. My dad was at the game, so he wasn't there. But I just watched it with my sisters in the front room. I just remember screaming just screaming so much when it went in. I was only 6. I probably got the gist of it. When you're 6, you get what football is, don't you? You know
I can remember my first proper memory is the '94 Cup final, like where I can remember things. So it's like, and I was 5 then, but then there's games in between that and other games that I can't remember. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the first game I ever went to was against Sheffield Wednesday in '98, and I don't remember the game. I remember walking to and from the ground and seeing like there's loads of like building works next to Hillsborough, and I remember seeing like the fencing and looking down at the fences and holding my dad's hand and all the fans walking in. But I don't remember any of the game. And then the next memory is the Champions League final night, and that was like a year later.
Over the stairs behind the West Stand. Like there'd just be loads of people. Yeah, there'd just be loads of people walking past, and it'd be carnage at the end. Like that was daunting as a kid. Like all these people and like.
And my dad always used to say,
"Don't let go, man."
Yeah, if you get lost, we meet there or like wherever. I can't remember what it was. It used to be like at the side of the bridge. You're like, if you lose me, we meet there. And
but they never used to have like how they got barriers now where the players walk in.
Yeah,
they never used to really have barriers there like that. So you could just walk, like there was no stopping you from talking to the players and stuff like that. It was.
I don't remember that bit.
I remember as well, like a vivid memory, and I've checked back now to see what the game was. So I don't remember what the datum was. Things I just know because I've checked back. And I found some tickets the other day, ticket stubs, and I can vividly remember the first home game of the '99 season, like just after we won the treble. So I remember like at halftime they brought the trophies out on the pitch. And Ronnie Johnson and Andy Cole scored. And I can remember I think it was a corner when Ronnie Johnson scored, and everyone stood up. So I could only see like in between shoulders and that. And I can just remember Ronnie Johnson planting a header in. I don't know what, it's just random memory.
So you can't remember what the game was, and you didn't, or do you know?
It's Newcastle. We beat Newcastle 2-0. First game of the season. So watch this. Man United 2, Newcastle 0, 1999. Premier League. Why is there? The FA Cup finals coming up, the bastards.
Well, yeah, it was 2-0 though, wasn't it? Was it 2-0? It was, wasn't it? The FA Cup final.
I'm gonna find this game anyway.
My first memories of football, like the ones I vividly remember, aren't even like United. But well, the first one I remember is involving 2 United players, but it was where Ronaldo got Rooney sent off at the Euros.
2006. That's mad. That's your first memory.
Was it like
I was in secondary school.
I think that was 2004, maybe. No, it was 2004 because 2006 was the World Cup where Zidane nutted someone. I remember that quite vividly.
But wasn't? Wait, did Rooney? So Rooney?
No, wait, that wasn't that game. Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
I think 2000.
Rooney got Ronaldo sent off in 2006, didn't he? Because it was the 2007. Ronaldo, the other way around. Sorry, because it's 2007 that Ronaldo's like stepped it up and became like one of the best players in the world, and then the next year he was the best player.
It was the first game of the 2000 season, 2000, 2001.
I wonder why I don't remember it, because I've seen that 98-99 season review video 1,000 times.
I'm wrong. It was 2006. Yeah, I remember those two things very vividly. Yeah. I remember Ronaldo getting Rooney sent off and Zidane nutting Materazzi.
Yeah.
We played Newcastle. Sorry, that memory got confused because we played Newcastle first game of the season after the treble as well. First home game. So I mixed them 2 games up. But
so last domestic game, first domestic game.
Yeah, it felt like we always played Newcastle either first game of the season or Boxing Day.
Yeah. Who does it at the minute? It feels like we play Tottenham quite a lot towards the start of the season for me. Or like we have a
I don't mind playing them at the start of the season.
No.
Do you remember when we played them in the 07-08 season? So we hadn't won a game for the first, I think it was 3 league games. We'd gone to, was it Everton or something? Lost. We drew a few games. We couldn't win. And then Nani absolutely spanked one in against Spurs and we won 1-0 and it got us going. That season. But that was when we won the double. And you'd think at the start of the campaign, we were thinking, fuck, we've signed all these players, Tevez, Hargreaves, Anderson, Nani. We can't get a win.
Did we only sign Nani in 2008?
07-08.
God, it seemed like it was.
So 07.
Part of the literature.
If you'd have said to me that Nani played 1 season with Van Nistelrooy, I would have believed you. I can't believe it was that many years left. It's like 3 years later than I thought. But I suppose he never played with Keane, did he? So like, he can't have done. Yeah, that's mad. Looking forward a little bit then, we've got a potential June the 19th date for the Tottenham game, speaking of Tottenham games. And Pogba and Rashford, according to Solskjaer today, have both been doing like the same training as everyone else, which the way he phrased that made me think he kind of meant like, so far with the training we've done has been quite easy, so they could do it. Because he sort of said touch wood, didn't he, about them both being fit. But in 3 weeks, when the games come back, it looks like we're going to have a full strength squad.
They would have. They're ready, I think.
But Rashford only came back proper from his injury like 2 weeks ago, didn't he?
No, but I think what we're aware of, like it came out that he was in Carrington doing tests, but that could have been happening for a week before that. Yeah. I think, and you've also got to see they weren't allowed to go back to Carrington, so he could have been fine ages ago. And I think he was going to be available for the Euros, so I think he'll be fine. I think Pogba too. Their injuries should be behind them, and we should be ready to go. In terms of that, but that Spurs game, Spurs have got Harry Kane back.
Yeah,
I felt confident we were going to batter them.
I think if we had have played them when we were meant to, we would have battered them because we were cruising and they were literally. Mourinho had gone full end of the spell Mourinho after about 2 months. Yeah, he was calling Ndombele a fat lazy bastard on telly and stuff, and like getting him to train in the park with the most disrespectful thing ever. Like just all sorts of terrible stuff. But now, do you think that Casey? Do you reckon that the players we've had back, so obviously Pogba and Rashford, which I couldn't believe until the other day, I sort of worked it back and realised that Rashford hasn't played with Bruno Fernandes yet. And obviously, I knew Pogba hadn't, but I thought Rashford must have. But they've never played together. Do you think that Pogba and Rashford coming back will help us like be better than we were before, or do you think that everyone will have got better because no one will have any injuries, or like how do you think it'll affect us and how we are against other teams?
I mean, another player I wanted to actually ask about was whether Tuanzebe's fit. Like I thought about him the other day, and I was like, "Well, I don't know what's up with him."
Surely,
I've heard everyone else mention, so I was thinking, "Oh, is Tuanzebe fit as well?" Because that gives us another centre back option. And another thing is that Bailly's going to have had both got back fit and also not been rushed back, so he's going to get injured again. So he might actually be all right. But I feel like the thing that United seem to have over maybe some other teams is that I always think when you look at United players, they actually look like they're all physically fit. You know what I mean? They always look like they're on it. Like you see, like you see like Rashford, you see like Pogba, you see. Obviously, although you see all them, like they look like they have the pace, they look like they're on the ball, sort of thing. So, and looking at the Bundesliga coming back, a lot of the problems I've seen with them is like it all looks like they're trying to get back to fitness.
Yeah.
So I think more of a case of whether we win the first couple of games is whether the players are back to fitness.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Fitness as in like actual like lungs and sort of stamina fitness rather than like
being able to like
you got a calf injury. Yeah.
I think is Kane back for Tottenham? Kane?
Yeah, that's what Adam was just saying then, that Kane will probably be back, or he might well be back. Do you think that we'll have an advantage over them still, Adam? Or do you think that it'll sort of evened out now with everyone being fit?
You can't say until you play them. You just can't say, can you? It'd be daft to say. I think they may be better for it. I kind of feel like Jose's probably, or possibly, depending what they can do in training, is going to be able to maybe get into them a little bit tactically. I think he can be quite draining mentally, and the players may be refreshed from that little bit of a break from him. They've had that Kane in him, and now they've got a little bit of a break, and they'll go back to it, and they'll probably be ready to work hard towards the end of the campaign. Yeah. And that's the thing, everyone can refocus now. They've been able to take themselves out of the season. I know they had a lot of uncertainty about whether it would start again or not, but now that you know kind of it is going to start, everyone can kind of say, right, we got 9 games left. We can target this position, and they can almost run at it like a kind of like a cup run kind of thing. So I think it may refocus a lot of teams as well, like even Arsenal, Spurs. You kind of weren't even looking at them as being in the top 4 race almost. You kind of forgot about them, but actually they aren't that far off. And with a decent run, Spurs beat us. We're worried about whether we're going to get in again, and they're probably feeling a lot more positive. So just don't know what to expect. I'm hoping we're at it. And like's been said, a a lot of our players look like they keep themselves in shape when football's off. So that's good as well.
I feel like teams like United and Liverpool might suffer in terms of the break, because if we haven't kept all the players haven't kept ourselves fit, we play pressing football. So like running around for 90 minutes, trying to get the ball off people isn't going to be a strategy that maybe we can use as effectively, because people won't have the stamina or the fitness or the match fitness to do it. Whereas I feel like people like Mourinho's teams will probably benefit, because Mourinho plays that really frustrating football that tires the other team out, trying to like fight him for the ball, and then he just counters them. So I feel like Tottenham as one of the first games is going to be a hard one, because I feel like Mourinho's setup will be like, we'll tire them out and we'll score a goal, and then we'll just sit back and they won't be able to do anything because they won't have the energy to get past us. So it'll be interesting to see.
Has there been any update on the whole 4 subs thing? Because that was something that was talked about, but that hasn't happened in the Bundesliga, has it? They've just still got 3 subs. So I doubt that's because I think that would have been a good way to help reduce injuries and keep the speed of the game up by like having an extra set of fresh legs on later on.
I don't think they need to. If you need to change the rules, you can't be coming back to football.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I just think
it's changing the game completely. I think people forget how much subs can impact games. And if you've gone from a team that at the start of the season, you make your 2 subs, go 1-0 up, you've got 1 change left. If you've got 2 subs left at that point, just fucking take off your 2 strikers and put on 2 defenders. And you never other teams couldn't do that at the start of the season. So I'd be disappointed to see them do that.
They're saying that they do have 5 in the Bundesliga, but you don't want to see that in the Premier League. I personally would like to see that in the Premier League. And I guess if they are doing it in Bundesliga, I didn't know that they were. I thought they wouldn't. I hadn't heard that. But I think it's good that they do. I know what you mean about it if they have to change it and that sort of thing. But it's clearly we're in such a weird position that
you're changing the rules.
Yeah, but also the rules are the season has to be ended by June the 30th.
Just do roll on and roll off then.
Rush goal is roll on, roll off.
Just
half pitch. Yeah, Pogba and Rashford stick. Like, that's it.
Because if you do head height, people won't jump up, so then there'll be no contact in the air. And they can strictly just keep 2 meters distance and play like it's fucking foosball instead, innit?
Yeah. I mean, I saw there was a proposal a couple of I think it was like a couple of months back, where it was if you got a head injury, you could have an extra sub. So I was thinking that maybe if there was, I mean, it depends how what you class as an injury in that case. But if you could have an extra sub, say if someone pulled their hamstring and couldn't walk, and you like had a doctor there saying, yeah, he ain't moving, like he ain't playing football.
Yeah, but I don't. That's what they had in rugby, innit? And then they end up with people like blood and stuff, and then they end up with people biting blood capsules and stuff. And like, I don't think it should either just be you can have 4 or 5 subs or whatever, or you can have 3, because I think when it's dependent on some kind of set of circumstances that, you know, like head injury. What's a head injury? If I put my forearm in your head and you're fine to play on, but you know, if you go down and it looks like you're hurt, you can come off. You can orchestrate situations where you're given a substitute advantage. And no offense to Mourinho, but he's the kind of guy who would get his players to go down a little bit easy potentially to get that extra sub in it. Do you know what I mean? He's always like on the cusp of, is that fair play? Is that fair play? Or you know what he's like. Taking time with throw-ins, getting his players to sort of surround the ref and stuff at Chelsea like they always used to do. So I think if it has to be based on a set of circumstances that could benefit one team and not the other. Well, at United as well, but that Chelsea team in particular were known for how they crowded the
I was going to say, you can tell you're young.
No, he's done it. He's done it everywhere, but I think that's the one that springs to mind. But I think it has to just be everyone gets 5 subs or no one does, or everyone gets 4 subs or no one does.
It just has to be 3
You're going to get people faking injuries, aren't you? You're Adam sticking with 3 subs and he's fuming.
Why are you changing the rules? Take off offsides as well. Fuck it.
What rule? If you could get rid of one rule, what would it be? If you could change one rule, what would it be?
I wouldn't change it.
Mine would be
VAR. That's for sure.
Mine would. I'd keep VAR because the best rule to change would be there are no limits to the size of the goalkeeper's gloves. I want fucking just giant foam hand gloves covering the whole net. Just a goalie with some big silly hands on. That's all I want. or no, the gloves have to stay the same, but the size of the helmet, like Petr helmets, can be as big as you want. So big, like space opera helmets that help save goals. I'd love that Daft Punk in net every game. That'd be ace.
Or instead of gloves, they've got table tennis rackets.
Yeah, that'd be good. Do you know that like Kanye West video where he's got like the big cardboard shirt on, just like goalies
change the goals into a basketball hoop.
That'd be good. Well, that's just basketball, though, isn't it? Speaking of basketball,
playing with your feet.
Oh, right. So you have to like kick the ball and get it into the net. Every game would end 0-0. It's hard enough to score now, and the nets are the size of like a wall.
The goalkeeper stood in front of it, one hand just above it, just like that.
Well, if we're changing rules, we'll just change all of them, innit?
Speaking of basketball, Adam, are you still on the NBA 2K20?
Yeah, I'm not as far. I know you've won the championship and everything. I'm not as far as into that season yet. I'm about 60 games in. I didn't realize there were so many fucking games in the season. Yeah, the game's good though. It's I still gotta I've got to calm down a little bit because I try and do things too quickly. But when I get it right, it looks good. I just need to learn how to do little touches. And because I don't when you play FIFA, your knowledge of football can get you through certain situations. Yeah. So you kind of obviously my knowledge of basketball is very limited. Like I remember playing in school and stuff, but it wasn't my favorite sport. So I know little bits, but there's tactical tweaks or little bits that you can get away with that you'd never, unless you play it regularly, you wouldn't know. So
how many 3-second violations did you give away when you first started playing?
No, I knew that. I knew you couldn't go backcourt violations. I know you couldn't stay in the paint for over set. So I knew certain little different things like that because we used to play at school. But there's other little bits that tactically, if you've not played, you wouldn't really know, or if you don't watch with a key. There's some people that watch football a lot but couldn't tell you what the fuck they're watching.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Casey, have you played NBA 2K20? It's only $250 on Xbox.
I have it. I have it downloaded. It was on the Game Pass. The problem with my 2K20 is I try and put the game on my own back. I come back in. They sub me out the game. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we're nice and even points. Come back. I'm like, oh, these idiots have made it 15 points down. I've got to do it all myself, and I'm just there trying to 3-point it every time. And I'm like, this is not a good idea.
I never try 3 points. Unless it's my 3-point range ain't that great. So,
I've been grinding 3-point practice in training though, and now I'm hitting 68% on the 3-pointers, just in the corner. I played the neighborhood.
Field goal percentage is about 60.
That's good. Do you know?
Because I very rarely shoot. I don't play the neighborhood yet. I'm waiting for my player to get good, my mate to get good, and then we'll go in together with backup. Yeah. I'm not going onto a game where I'm a noob, and I'm getting slapped around on the court by some geezers that play
the neighborhood. Oh yeah, they do alley oops, put it through the legs, and just slam dunk on you. And I don't really want to play this game anymore.
Where they're all just as mascots as well.
All I know how to do is go one way and spin the other way.
Yeah, that's all I could do as well. Just pass it, just behind the back, pump fake and shoot. That's all I've got.
And you see other people playing on YouTube, and in the corner where you get all those things come up.
Yeah.
All those traits. I get about 5, and that's it. I see them get things, and I think, what the hell did that say? I've never seen that in my life.
Hundreds of things popping up after every one. I was playing against some. I don't think that people want to pass to me because I've got green hair on the game, and I think they'll just think I'm a twat. So no one will pass to me on it, and we lost 21-0 the last game I played. It's really difficult. Right, that's enough of that. What's everyone doing for the rest of the day? Casey, you got anything up planned?
I'm just going to relax, maybe do a tiny bit of revision for my exam tomorrow.
What's your exam?
It is TV broadcast, so I've got to edit some clips together and write some scripts. That's about it.
Very nice. Thanks for coming on. Adam, what are you up to for the rest of the day?
I'm going to edit Rumour Rating now, upload that on youtube.com/Adam Mckola. Apart from that,
look at that.
Tossing about like usual.
Very good.
Slamming those dunks and shooting them hoops.
Nice.
Whatever you call the
going
kids
hard
do
in the
today.
paint. Going hard in the paint, no doubt.
I go hard in the motherfucking paint.
That's going to be all from us. Adam said there, make sure you check out Adam Mckola.
I forgot that. I didn't even realise that song was a basketball reference.
No, I didn't. I did actually. I didn't until just now. I didn't realise it was.
I've been listening to that for years.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks to everyone for joining us at home. Let us know if you think we should get Josh King in the comments, and let us know if you play an NBA 2K, because they put the Jordan documentary out. Then NBA 2K made it £2.50 on Xbox and PlayStation, so everyone's been buying it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people playing it. If you are playing it, let us know in the comments. Again, thank you very much for joining us. Look at that, Adam dropping shots to leave out on. We'll see you in a bit, lads.